that I can find to work on this and not spend all day on it. You know, this is not rocket science in many instances. Some of it may be very complicated, but there are folks who are doing great housing projects in this country. There's some of it going on right here in the state. And I don't see why we can't avail ourselves of some of that brain trust to devise some plans in Jackson. There's an $11 million allocation that's about to come to the city of Jackson for stabilizing houses. Historically, what we've done is take money like that and we just scattergun it. And this particular fund is to allow for the acquisition of housing stock that's deteriorated and dilapidated, and that may have been subject to foreclosure. The idea is to put that housing back in good shape, rehabilitate it, and put it back in the housing stock. That's the kind of a program that could give some neighborhoods some pretty big shots in the arm, but we can't scattergun. We've got to go into some of these areas comprehensively, deal with the crime, deal with the beautification, deal with some of the infrastructure, and then deal with restoring houses to those communities. I think that we've got to do it systematically, but to do what we need to do, we're going to have to get some of our best minds together and put a plan together that once it's finished, is easy to articulate. Now, my vision for the city, very simply, is to make Jackson a safe, fun, attractive place to live, to work, and to visit. The devil's in the details, but that's it. I mean, I think that's what we all want. And we have to get some of the best minds in play to help develop the plan with the input of the citizens, and then work that plan.
I recently sold my dental practice in Madison, Mississippi, and have taken a job at the Jackson Medical Mall, and I'm loving it. It's been a great move. And if I could just tell a brief story about Senator Horhn. We had the opportunity to go on a trip to Turkey. It was this spring, and it was clergy, several professors from Mississippi State. It was just an opportunity of a lifetime to travel there. One of our first days, we were seeing mountains and caves, monasteries that were 2,000 years old, just incredible sights, and to see this country. And later, I think it must have been about maybe 12:30 or almost 1 in the morning. It was just such a fascinating day. And so I was talking to John, and I think we managed to find a beer, something like that, a little late.
Did you lose one?
So we're talking about what we've seen, and then John had gotten an email, something about developing a development on the Pearl River, something in the legislature. So John was talking on and on about how to develop maybe the Pearl River in the city of Jackson. I'm saying, John, we are in the cradle of civilization. This is the Tigris-Euphrates River. I couldn't get him off this Jackson development thing. Just, he was stuck on it. And when John says that his heart is in Jackson, Mississippi, I'm convinced he's sincere. You could put John in front of the Taj Mahal, and he'll be looking at the King Edward Hotel. I mean, he is Jackson, and I think it's great.
Thank you. Let's do two more. I see Mr. Ross and this young lady here, Mr. Ross.
Mayor Horn. Just kidding. But in terms of public safety, and I think people would like to feel comfortable in your thoughts on what you would immediately do to give assurances to the people that public safety would be in good hands and moving in the right direction or whatever. How do you feel if you would become mayor? What would be the initial things you would do to give assurance to the people?
Well, the first thing, of course, will be evaluation of leadership in the police department. I have not made a decision one way or the other about our chief sheriff. I think that on the one hand, if we, I think that if we pass this measure that I just spoke of, this Capital City Restoration Act, that we need to try to get that on the ballot at the same time folks are voting for mayor and city council and so forth. So that if it passes, we immediately have the tools in terms of finances. Part of Jackson's problem is we don't have any money. We don't have enough money. We've got more going out than we have coming in. And if we can get that measure passed, then we can get those additional 250 police officers on the street. We can also put the police officers on a career path that makes sense. Right now, if you are a recruit for the Jackson Police Department, you have a master's degree, I have a GED.